Ethan Burke worked as a repair tech on an old space station near the edge of human territory. His days were slow and quiet, filled with fixing broken panels, checking systems, and making sure life support stayed steady. He liked the peace. Not many ships came this far out anymore, and he was fine with that. But that day was different. A strange signal came through the comm system. It wasn't human. It didn't follow any known pattern. Ethan listened carefully, rewinding the short message again and again. It was soft, like a whisper, and it repeated every few seconds. It wasn't just a signal. It was a distress call. He leaned over the console and tapped a few commands. The origin of the signal was close, maybe 1 or 2 light minutes away. A small ship had entered the system and stopped moving. Ethan scratched his head. He didn't have the best ship, but it could handle a short trip. He checked his tools, grabbed his jacket, and headed out. As he piloted the small shuttle toward the source, he couldn't shake the strange feeling in his chest. Something was pulling him there, though he didn't know what. When he arrived, he saw the alien ship drifting. It was shaped like a long silver wing, smooth and elegant. There was no response to his hails. The emergency lights on the ship blinked slowly, red and dim. He suited up and entered through a damaged airlock. The inside of the ship was quiet, almost too quiet. The walls glowed with faint blue light. Everything looked foreign, like art more than machinery. He moved carefully, looking for signs of life. That's when he found her. She was lying near what looked like the control room. Her clothes were torn, her body still. She didn't look like the other aliens he had seen in videos. Her skin was silver blue, her limbs long and thin, and her hair floated in the air like strands of light. But her face was covered by a thin veil. He kneeled beside her and checked for signs of life. Her chest moved slowly. She was breathing. Ethan didn't know who she was or what had happened to her, but he knew he couldn't leave her here. Back on his shuttle, he laid her down gently and started first aid. The alien woman didn't wake, but her breathing grew steady. He stayed by her side as the shuttle made its way back to the station. Once there, he carried her to the medical bay. The machines couldn't read her fully, but they helped stabilize her. He did what he could with the tools he had. Days passed. He gave her water, stayed by her side, and spoke softly, even if she didn't understand him. On the 4th night, she opened her eyes. They were the color of stars, deep silver with hints of violet. She looked at him, confused but calm. Her voice was soft and musical. She spoke in a language he didn't know. He pointed to himself and said, "Ethan." She looked at him, then placed her hand on her chest and spoke one word. He didn't understand it, but he repeated it, and she smiled. They began to communicate slowly. He taught her some English, and she taught him a few of her words. He learned her name was Lyra. She was not just anyone. She was the queen of her people. Her ship had been attacked, and she had barely escaped. Ethan was shocked but didn't show it. To him, she was just someone who needed help. One day, while she was resting, he sat across from her. She looked at him with a calm expression, then reached up and removed the thin veil that had covered her face. Ethan froze. Her face was beautiful, not just in a way humans understand, but in a way that stirred something deep inside him. Her skin shimmered like moonlight, her eyes were deep and full of sadness and strength, and her features were delicate, graceful, almost unreal. For a moment, they both said nothing. Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years. A strange warmth spread through his chest. He knew it didn't make sense. She was alien, from a world far beyond his own, but something in her eyes felt so human. Lyra looked at him gently, as if she knew what he was feeling. They sat in silence, the saw from the station around them. Two people from different worlds brought together by chance. And in that quiet moment, Ethan realized something had changed. Something had started. He didn't understand it yet, but he didn't try to stop it. The days passed slowly on the station. Lyra was healing. She moved around more, walked with calm steps, and watched everything with careful eyes. Ethan gave her space but stayed close when she needed help. She was learning English faster than he expected. Every day, she asked about new words, and every day, Ethan tried to explain them as simply as he could. One morning, Ethan found Lyra standing by the viewing window. The stars shone outside like tiny lights in the dark sky. She didn't speak at first. She just stood there, silent and still. He walked up beside her and looked out too. "Do you miss your home?" he asked. She turned to him and nodded slowly. "My world," she said softly. "It is very far now." Ethan didn't know what to say. He had never been far from Earth. The station was the only place he really knew. He had no family left, no friends who called often. But when he looked at Lyra, he didn't feel alone anymore. She looked at him and spoke again. "Ethan, why you help me?" He thought for a second. "Because you needed help, and no one else was there." She tilted her head. "Not afraid?" Ethan smiled. "I was, but I saw someone hurt. That's what matters." Lyra nodded again. She looked down at her hands. "My people, not all kind. Some think humans are weak. Some think humans are danger. And what do you think?" Ethan asked. She looked into his eyes. "I do not know, but you are not weak." Ethan laughed a little, rubbing the back of his neck. "I don't know about that." Later that day, Lyra helped him repair a small panel in the station's energy grid. She watched as he explained the parts and wires, then copied his movements. Her fingers were gentle, precise. She learned fast. When the work was done, she smiled. "I like learning," she said. "And I like teaching," Ethan replied. In the evening, they shared food in the common room. Lyra found human food strange, but interesting. She sniffed each item first, then tried small bites. Ethan had some pre-packed meals from Earth, mostly simple stuff. She liked the dried fruit the most. "This is sweet," she said. "Yeah, that's called pineapple." "Pine-apple," she repeated. They both laughed. The days started to feel like a rhythm. Fixing small things, sharing words, eating together. At night, Ethan would tell stories about Earth, about the oceans, about animals she had never seen. Lyra listened closely, eyes wide with wonder. One night, Lyra asked to tell her own story. "My mother was queen before me," she said. "She ruled with strong hands, but she was fair." Ethan nodded. "I'm sure she was." Lyra looked down. "She was lost in the last war. Many ships attacked. I escaped. My ship was alone when you found me." Ethan felt a deep sadness in her voice. "You're safe now," he said. "No one's going to hurt you here." She looked at him again, the soft lights of the room shining in her silver eyes. "I believe you," she said. They were quiet for a long time. The station hummed gently in the background. The air felt warmer somehow. Ethan stood and walked over to the window again. He could feel her presence close behind. "I used to think I'd live out here alone," he said. "No one visits much. It's just a quiet job." Lyra stepped beside him. "Not alone now," she said. He looked at her, surprised by how natural her words sounded. They stood together, watching the stars. The next day, a new signal reached the station. Ethan checked the system and saw a small ship approaching. It wasn't from Earth, and it didn't match any known human design. He called Lyra to the control room. She looked at the screen, and her face changed. Her calm expression faded. She stepped closer, studying the ship. "It is one of mine," she said, "but not friendly." Ethan tensed. "What do you mean?" Lyra turned to him. "They want me back. Not for peace. They want control." Ethan stared at the screen. The ship was getting closer. "We have to do something," he said. She nodded. "I will not go back." Ethan's hands tightened on the edge of the console. "Then we'll stop them." Lyra looked at him, surprised. "You would fight them?" He nodded without pause. "You're not alone either." She smiled just a little. That night, they worked together. They checked the defense systems, powered the old shields, and made plans. Ethan knew the station wasn't made for battle, but he would do whatever it took, not just to protect her, but because he believed in her. And maybe, deep inside, he was already falling. The alien ship moved slowly toward the station. Ethan watched the screen as red lights blinked across the control panel. The ship was bigger than Lyra's, shaped like a long dark spear. It gave no signal. It came with silence. Lyra stood beside him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. "They will not ask," she said. "They will take." Ethan nodded. He checked the shields. They were old but working. The station had 2 defense turrets, one on each side. Not much, but it was better than nothing. "We can try to warn them," Ethan said. "They do not listen," she replied. "They do not see humans as equal." Ethan took a deep breath and turned on the station's main signal. He spoke clearly. "This is human territory. You are approaching without permission. Turn back." No answer. He looked at Lyra. She didn't speak, but her hand touched his arm. "They want power," she said, "and they know I am here." Ethan powered up the weapons. The hum of the station changed. A low sound filled the air. Lights turned red. Warning systems flashed. The ship stopped just outside the shield. A beam of light shot from it, scanning the station. The scan moved slow across the surface, checking every part. "They're looking for me," Lyra said. Ethan looked at her. "Then we won't let them take you." A voice came through the comm system. It was deep and sharp. "Surrender the Queen. She is not safe with you." Ethan stepped forward. "She's safe here, and she stays here." There was a short silence. Then the ship fired. The first blast at the shield. The station shook. Ethan grabbed the panel to stay steady. Lyra stood still, her face calm but her fists tight. "Shields holding," Ethan said, checking the screen, but not for long. He ran to the other panel and activated the turrets. They turned and locked onto the alien ship. He waited until the enemy moved again, then pressed the fire button. The station's weapons fired 2 short bursts. One shot hit the enemy ship on the side. Sparks flew in space. The second missed. The alien ship turned and fired again. The station shook harder this time. "We can't take many more hits," Ethan said. Lyra stepped closer to the console. "There is one thing," she said. "I can speak to their leader." "Will they listen?" "No, but I can stall them." She reached for the signal control and spoke in her own language. Ethan watched her face change. She spoke with power. Her voice was firm, royal, like a true leader. When she finished, the enemy ship paused. No new shots came. There was silence again. "They are angry," she said, "but confused." "Why?" "Because I chose a human. Because I trust you." Ethan looked at her. "You chose me." She nodded. "You gave me hope. You gave me life again." He didn't know what to say. Something heavy passed between them in that moment. The enemy ship moved again. A new voice came through. This one was louder, full of pride. "You are queen no more. You gave your power to a lesser being. You are not fit to rule." Lyra's voice rose. "Power does not come from fear. It comes from care. I chose him because he sees more than borders and blood." Ethan stepped forward. "She's not going back. If you try to take her, you'll have to go through me." The enemy ship charged its main weapon. Ethan turned to Lyra. "If we don't stop them, they'll destroy the station." She nodded. "Then we stop them." Ethan had one last idea. He rushed to the back of the room and opened an old system, a pulse core, and used for years. It was dangerous, unstable, but it could give them a chance. "If we overload this, we can send out a wave. It'll knock their systems out." "And ours?" Lyra asked. "We'll lose power, maybe for hours. They might still try again after that." "I know," Ethan said, "but we'll be alive." Lyra looked at him. Then she placed her hand on the pulse core. "Together," she said. Ethan nodded. They worked fast. They opened wires, powered coils, and linked the station's grid. When it was ready, Ethan looked at her one last time. "Are you sure?" "Yes," she said, "because I believe in you." He pressed the final switch. A deep hum filled the station. A wave of light burst from it, shooting through space like a ring. It hit the enemy ship. Lights on the enemy ship went dark. The weapon powered down. Systems shut off. The station lost power too. The lights went out. Only the stars outside stayed bright. For a moment, there was only silence. Then Ethan laughed softly. "It worked!" Lyra smiled in the dark. "You are stronger than they know." They sat together in the dark, side by side, tired but safe. And Ethan knew, more than ever, he would do anything to protect her. Ethan moved through the dark halls of the station with a small light in his hand. The main systems were still off, but life support had started working again. Lights flickered on one by one. The station felt cold but alive. Lyra stayed near him. She did not speak much, but her eyes followed everything. She helped where she could, even when she didn't fully understand the machines. Her fingers were fast, her mind sharp. She learned quickly. They fixed the heating first, then the oxygen controls. It took most of the night, but they did it together. When they were done, Ethan leaned against the wall and sighed. That's the last of it. Lyra looked at him. You saved us. He shook his head. We saved each other. Outside, the enemy ship still floated in space. Its lights were off. Its weapons were down. It did not move. Ethan kept checking it every few hours, but it did not try to contact him again. Do you think they'll come back? He asked. They are proud, Lyra said, but they're also afraid. They did not expect resistance. Ethan nodded. Then we better be ready. Days passed. Lyra began to explore the station more. She walked the halls alone sometimes. She stood by the window, looking out at the stars. Ethan would find her there, quiet, thoughtful. One day, she asked him a question. What is Earth like? Ethan smiled. It's green, lots of trees. Oceans, too. Big animals. Rain. She closed her eyes. Sounds beautiful. It is, he said. I haven't been back in a long time. Why not? He shrugged. Didn't have a reason. Nothing there for me anymore. She looked at him with soft eyes. You have a reason now. He looked back at her, not sure what to say. That night, they sat near the food station. The warm light of the room made the shadows dance on the walls. They didn't talk much. Sometimes silence said more than words. After a while, Lyra spoke. When I was young, I was told that humans only cared for war. Ethan raised his eyebrows. Not true, he said. I know, she said. Now I know. She reached out and placed her hand on his. It was light and cool to the touch. I want peace, she said. But my people will not understand. Not yet. Then we show them, Ethan said. Her eyes sparkled. You are strange, Ethan. In a good way? She nodded. Yes, in a good way. A signal came the next morning. Not from the enemy ship, but from a nearby system. A human patrol ship was passing through the sector. It picked up the energy pulse from the fight. Ethan answered the call. This is Ethan Burke, engineer on Outpost 27. We had an incident. We're safe now, but we need help. The voice on the other end sounded surprised. Outpost 27? We thought that station was shut down. It was, Ethan said. But I stayed, and I wasn't alone. Lyra stood behind him as he spoke. When the call ended, she looked concerned. They will not like me. Ethan turned to her. They'll listen. I'll make them listen. Hours later, the patrol ship arrived. It was small, fast, and painted with the human fleet's mark. 3 officers came aboard. Ethan greeted them. One of them, a woman named Rachel Dean, took charge. Ethan told her everything. How he found the alien ship, how he saved Lyra, how the enemy attacked. He left nothing out. Rachel listened, her face unreadable. Then Lyra stepped forward. I am Lyra of House Aran, she said. I was queen. Now I am just a voice. But I seek peace. Rachel looked at her, surprised. You speak English? I learned, Lyra said. There was a long silence. Rachel finally spoke. If what you say is true, then Earth Command needs to hear it, but they will not trust easily. Ethan stood beside Lyra. Then we go together. Rachel looked at both of them. You go to Earth? Ethan nodded. Yes, it's time. That night, Ethan sat in his room, thinking. The stars outside looked different now, like they were waiting. Lyra entered quietly. You are leaving the only place you knew. He smiled. I'm not leaving it behind. I'm taking something better with me. She stepped closer. You do not fear the future? He looked at her. Not anymore. She took his hand. Then let us go together. He held her hand tight. And in that quiet room, lit by soft lights and hope, they knew they were no longer just human and alien. They were something new, something that could change everything. The human patrol ship was ready to leave. Ethan and Lyra stood near the shuttle ramp, their bags packed with only the things they needed. The station that had been their quiet home now felt empty. It had kept them safe. It had brought them together. But it was time to leave. Ethan looked back one last time before stepping onto the ship. Strange, he said. I never thought I'd miss this place. Lyra looked at him with a small smile. Places change when people change. The patrol ship left the old station behind and jumped into faster-than-light travel. The stars turned into long lines of light, and the world outside became a blur. Inside, things were quieter. The crew kept their distance from Lyra. Some stared, some whispered. No one said anything to her directly. Ethan noticed it and stayed close to her. She said nothing, but he could feel the weight on her shoulders. They don't trust me, she said one night as they sat in a quiet part of the ship. They don't know you, Ethan replied. But they will. Lyra looked out the small window. My people would have acted the same. Then maybe this is the start of something new, he said. When they arrived at Earth, the view took Lyra's breath away. The planet was blue and white, covered in clouds and oceans. Green patches of land floated under the sky. It's beautiful, she whispered. Ethan smiled. Told you. The ship landed at a secure base near the coast. Soldiers stood waiting as they stepped off the ship. A group of officers came forward, including a man with silver hair and dark eyes. His name was General Clay. He looked at Lyra, then at Ethan. You're the engineer who made all this noise? Ethan nodded. Yes, sir. And this is the alien queen? She was a queen, Ethan said. Now she's someone asking for peace. The general didn't smile. He turned to Lyra. You'll come with us. There will be questions. I understand, Lyra said. They were taken to a large government building. Lyra was given her own room, simple but safe. Ethan was allowed to stay nearby. The officials asked many questions. They wanted to know about her people, her ship, the attack, and the reason she was here. Lyra answered each question with calm. Her voice was soft but firm. She told them she wanted no war. She said she believed peace was possible. Some believed her. Some did not. After many days, they gave her a small translator to help her speak more clearly. She used it to speak to groups of leaders from across the world. Ethan sat beside her during the meetings. He watched as she spoke, her words full of strength. She did not beg. She did not hide. She stood proud, even when some called her a liar. One man said, How do we know this isn't trick? Lyra looked at him and said, You don't, but I'm still here. I'm still trying. Some of them began to change their minds. Slowly, the fear started to fade. At night, Lyra and Ethan would sit under the stars, just like they had on the station. The sound of Earth were different. Waves, birds, wind in the trees. I didn't think I'd be here, Ethan said. Not like this. Lyra looked up at the sky. Neither did I. He turned to her. You still think about going back? She shook her head. My world is not home anymore. He was quiet for a moment, then spoke softly. You could make this your home. She looked at him. Only if you are here. He reached for her hand, and she let him take it. They didn't say anything else. One evening, they were called to a private meeting with General Clay. He looked serious. We decided to send a message to her people, he said. A peaceful one. Lyra nodded. I will help write it. There's one condition, Clay said. We want you to stay. Under watch. For now. Lyra did not argue. I understand. After the meeting, Ethan and Lyra walked along a quiet path near the ocean. The sky was red and orange with the sunset. You did it, Ethan said. They're listening. Lyra stopped and turned to him. No, we did it. He smiled. What happens now? She looked at the sea. We wait, we hope, and we build something better. Ethan looked at her. In her eyes, he saw more than stars. He saw strength, sadness, and something deep and growing. He didn't just see an alien queen. He saw the woman he was falling for, and he wasn't afraid of it anymore. Weeks passed after Lyra and Ethan arrived on Earth. The people who once looked at Lyra with fear began to look at her with curiosity. News stories showed her walking beside Ethan, talking with leaders, and even helping with science teams. Her knowledge of alien technology impressed everyone. Still, not all humans trusted her. Some thought she was a spy. Some said she was dangerous. But Ethan stood by her side through it all. He defended her with calm words and quiet strength. Lyra noticed how people listened to Ethan. He wasn't a soldier. He wasn't a leader. But he spoke from the heart, and that made him different. One morning, a group of scientists asked Lyra to study a broken satellite. She agreed, and Ethan went with her. They traveled to a lab in the mountains. The place was quiet and full of strange machines. Lyra walked among the tools like she had seen them before. Ethan watched her work. She touched wires, read signals, and gave advice no one else could give. When she finished, the satellite system lit up. The room cheered. One of the scientists clapped Ethan on the back. "She's something special," he said. Ethan smiled. "Yes, she is." That night, they sat outside the lab. The stars above were bright, clear, and full of wonder. Ethan leaned back on the bench, hands behind his head. "Do you miss space?" he asked. Lyra looked up. "Sometimes. The silence, the view. But Earth is full of sounds I like." "Like what?" She closed her eyes. "Birds, wind, your voice." Ethan turned his head to her. She opened her eyes and met his gaze. Her face was soft, and her silver eyes glowed in the dark. "I'm glad I found you," he said. "You didn't find me," she replied. "We found each other." He reached for her hand again, and she held it without a word. Back in the city, news came from space. A ship from Lyra's homeworld had entered human space. But this one sent no weapons, no threats. It only sent a message. "We wish to speak with our queen." Ethan and Lyra were called into a meeting with General Clay and other human leaders. "They claim to be peaceful," Clay said, "but we don't know for sure." Lyra stood tall. "I must go," she said. Ethan looked at her. "Are you sure?" She nodded. "They will not understand peace unless they see it with their own eyes." Ethan wanted to stop her. He wanted to protect her, but he knew she was right. "I'm coming with you," he said. General Clay didn't like the idea, but he allowed it. "You two started this," he said. "You might be the ones to finish it." A human ship took them into orbit. The alien ship waited near the edge of space. It was shaped like a bird in flight, shining blue and white. As they got closer, Lyra became quiet. Ethan touched her shoulder. "You don't have to do this alone." "I know," she said. "That's why I'm not afraid." They boarded the alien ship. The crew was silent when Lyra walked in. Their eyes followed her every step. At the front of the room stood an older alien male, dressed in long robes. He was taller than the others and looked at Lyra with sharp eyes. "You return," he said. "I bring peace," Lyra said. "You bring a human," he replied with disapproval. "This human saved me. He gave me a second chance. He taught me there's another way." The alien leader looked at Ethan. "You speak?" "I do," Ethan said. "I don't want war. None of us do." Silence filled the room. Then the leader stepped forward. "We watch your actions. We saw the attack. It was not approved by all. Some of us seek change, but many still doubt." "Then let them see," Lyra said. "Let them see that unity is possible." After a long moment, the leader nodded. "We will listen, but we will watch closely." Lyra turned to Ethan. "They're giving us a chance." He nodded. "Then let's use it." They stayed aboard the alien ship for 2 days. Lyra spoke to the crew, to the leaders, to the young soldiers. She shared her story. She told them about Earth, about kindness, about Ethan. Some listened with open minds. Others stayed cold. But seeds were planted. When the talks were over, the ship brought them back to Earth. The alien leader gave Lyra a crystal. "This is our answer," he said. a sign of hope. For now, back on Earth, General Clay met them at the landing bay. "Well," he asked, "they didn't fire at us," Ethan said. "That's a win." Clay smiled for the first time. "Then maybe we really are moving forward." That night, Lyra and Ethan stood once again under the stars. So much had changed. So much was still unknown. But one thing was clear. They were no longer just two strangers from different worlds. They were something more. Months had passed since the alien ship left Earth. Things had changed. Lyra was now known across the world. People still argued, still feared, but many had begun to understand. She was not here to hurt anyone. She had come with a new message. Ethan stayed beside her the whole time. He didn't lead meetings or speak to the press. He stayed quiet, always helping behind the scenes. But everyone knew who he was. The human who saved an alien queen. The man who stood between war and peace. One morning, they stood outside the science center, watching children play in the open garden. Lyra smiled as a little girl walked up to her, handed her a flower, then ran away shyly. "Things are changing," Lyra said. "They are," Ethan replied, slowly, but in the right way. She looked up at the sky. "I never thought I would call this place home." "You made it your home," he said. She turned to him. "I want to stay, not just as a guest, but as someone who belongs." Ethan's heart beat faster. He had thought about it many times, but he didn't want to pressure her. Hearing her say it made something inside him feel warm and calm. "You already belong," he said. In the weeks that followed, Lyra was given a new role by both her people and Earth leaders. She would act as a voice between the two worlds, a bridge, a peacekeeper. It was a heavy task, but she accepted it without fear. A small center was built near the sea, where alien and human scientists, students, and thinkers could work together. Lyra worked there every day. She taught, she listened, and she learned. Ethan helped run the place. He fixed machines, taught basic systems, and guided visitors to the new technology they were building together. One evening, they walked along the shore. The sun was low, and the sky was painted with gold and pink. The waves touched their feet as they walked in silence. "Do you think they will ever fully accept me?" Lyra asked. Ethan took her hand. "They already do. They just don't all realize it yet." She looked at him. "And you?" "I didn't need time," he said. "The moment you took off your veil, I knew." "Knew what?" "That I had met someone special." Lyra smiled. "I knew, too, but I was afraid. My world taught me to fear love. It said it was weakness." "Then your world was wrong," Ethan said. They sat on a flat rock and watched the stars come out. It reminded them of their first nights on the station. So far from everything, yet somehow closer than ever. Lyra turned to him. "I once had a duty to rule. Now I only want to live. With you." Ethan took both her hands in his. "Then let's live. Not as alien and human, just as us." In the days that followed, people from both worlds gathered for a new celebration. A small, peaceful event was held at the Sea Center. It marked the start of an agreement between Earth and Lyra's people. A promise of peace, learning, and no more secrets. Lyra gave a short speech. "We were strangers once," she said, "but now we are neighbors. Let us not forget what brought us here. Kindness, trust, and one brave choice." Ethan stood beside her, his hand resting gently at her back. As the crowd clapped, as music began to play, as laughter filled the air, Lyra turned to him. "I never expected to find love." "Neither did I," he said, "but I'm glad I did." So they danced, surrounded by humans and aliens, by stars and waves, by peace and hope. The galaxy was still wide and full of danger. There were still leaders who wanted power, still people who feared what was different. But there was also this moment, and it was real. Ethan had once believed his life would stay quiet forever, fixing wires in a station no one remembered. But then came a voice, a call, a chance, and now he stood beside the one person who changed his world, not with war, but with a look behind a veil, and a heart ready to be seen.